Greetings, YouTubians, and welcome back to Wayne's Sharp World, where today we've got a very, very special one. Not necessarily the newest one in the fleet, but today we are taking a look at the Snecx Mini Buster. And I had to take my time with this one, because this one was kind of love at first sight for me, and I didn't want to go overboard with my thoughts. So I've had this one for a couple weeks now. I actually had it pre-ordered from Knife Center a long time ago, and the whole situation kind of stunk because, I always want to try and get my stuff as early as I can for you guys to give you, reviews before it's available or as soon as I can once it is available. And this one, it was selling quick. It was kind of a hot and cold knife. It was available at Blade HQ for a while, but it wasn't available when I pre-ordered this. So I pre-ordered it from Knife Center. It took Knife Center, not to their fault, I think it was just manufacturing issues. It took forever for Knife Center to get it in. In the time span of Knife Center, of me having it pre-ordered and waiting for Knife Center, it was available like 3 other places, so I could have had this a lot longer, but it just is what it is. Nonetheless, I have it, and I cannot lie, I have a lot of good things to say about it. Before I get into the knife, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. If you like what you see, do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, follow along, and I will keep bringing the content your way. Now let's take a look at some specs on this knife. We have an overall length of 8 inches, a blade length coming in at 3.5 inches, blade width at 1.125 inches, blade thickness coming in at 0.16, so we got a bit of a beefy stock here, and this blade is made out of CPM 20CV, and the blade is kind of what do you guys think? So it was listed as a sheep's foot blade. I'm definitely going to call this a Wharncliffe. So what is it? Is it a sheep's foot? Is it a Wharncliffe? We always go back and forth on this. We're going to call it a sheep's footy Wharncliffe. And we have a blade grind of a flat grind with a handle length coming in at 4.625 inches, handle width at 1.125 inches, handle thickness at 0.51 inches, which I'm realizing more and more is my sweet spot. Anywhere from 0.5 to 0.6 is kind of my sweet spot, personally, for handle thickness on a knife. We have a right hand only tip-up carry, coming right in at 4 ounces, and this guy isn't exactly cheap. This has a price of $289. Now, something to keep in mind, the original designer of this knife, Snecx, his customs of this knife, they go for like $7,000 to $10,000. I mean, he does it all. He's meticulous with CNC machining. And it took this one, from what I heard, took a while to get this guy into actual production because Snecx was just a perfectionist, which I like to hear. If you're going to do something, do it right. And they definitely did here. But no, this, if you buy any custom Snecx, they go, I don't even know what they start at, but they're well in the thousands. I heard anything from $7,000 to $10,000 for a Snecx custom, so you have a very powerful name behind this knife, and I think we did a pretty good job of executing it. And they also went out of their comfort zone for some things on this, which I absolutely love. We'll talk about more of that here in a second, but let's get into some size comparisons to give you a better idea of how big of a knife we're working with. Just for general size comparisons, we'll start off with a few everyone knows, the Spyderco Paramilitary 2 and the Benchmade Bug Out. I don't know if there's any 2 knives better for size comparisons than these two. I really don't. I think these two hit it right on the head, and as you can see from tip to clip, it's very comparable with the PM2 and a little longer than the Bug Out. Now, let's do a couple other ones that I think either have a similar blade shape or they kind of feel similar in hand. We have the Kaiser Critical. And we also have, yes, the CRK Chris Reeve knife Umnumzan. When it comes to actual feel in hand, I don't want to directly compare it to either one of these because the Critical's a little wider. The Umnumzan kind of has its own unique feel, but the clip back on the Umnumzan and compared to the clip on the Snecx Mini Buster, I feel similarities there. So it's somewhere kind of like these two. Definitely not exactly, but the thicknesses are all kind of the same. And in my collection, that's kind of what I'm feeling in resemblances to Ergos. And man, those are three beautiful blades. If you could just hide that. Yeah, that's even better. Sorry, Kaiser, I had to do it. Okay, and let's see. Two more, just for the heck of it. We have the ZT-055, and we also have the Spyderco Smock. Very similar to the Smock as well. Surprisingly, I thought this would be a lot bigger than the Smock. Not a lot bigger, but I thought it would be bigger. And it's really not. It's actually very, very similar to the Smock in overall size. Not so much Ergos or blade shape, but just overall size. And now, let's talk about this knife. Because this is one of the sweetest Wharncliffe sheep's footy blade that I've ever seen. Aesthetically, it's pretty stunning. I like all the little grind lines up at the top. I like the, it's not going to work. I like the shape. There it is. The shape that you're kind of staring at the end of the stock here is very nice and attractive, very different. And it just comes down to a very, very, very nice, tough 20 CV Wharncliffe. And Wharncliffes are very versatile blades. It's probably not my number one choice for EDC, but I tell you what, it really checks a lot of boxes off for me, from cutting open boxes to letters to you name it, cutting through tape. It's very, very useful EDC blade. And the almost full flat grind to a nice thin swedge at the top is just very, very attractive. I am very disappointed that there's no jimping on this flipper tab. That's my biggest issue with this knife. I'm going to talk about more about that when we get to the action, but really, really can't believe that there wasn't jimping on this flipper tab. It may have been a requirement from Snecx, but I find it very disappointing. Not here, but just a little jimping right here would have made it probably almost perfect for me. But I never say this about WE or a lot of places, but I love the blade branding on this because it's on the blade, it's not on the pivot. I don't ever remember seeing a WE knife have the WE symbol on the blade instead of the pivot, and I think it looks awesome. And they put the Snecx back here, nice and tucked up in the corner. I don't mind it being that long whatsoever, but you have a nice, clean, very nice looking pivot with no WE symbol. This is a pure taste from just my perspective, but I don't like any company name anywhere on the handle or the pivot. I would love to just see a company standard or a industry standard of the blade branding just being up in the right hand corner like this. They did put the blade marking right down here if you can see it. CPM 20 CV, yeah, there it is. But just keep the branding minimal. To me, this is perfect. You crushed the blade branding on this one. Thank you. It looks so much better without the WE symbol on the pivot. So do us all a favor and keep that trend up. I like it where it is. I think it looks great. It actually kind of matches the, nice flat. It just looks great on this blade. Really, really like that. And I just think, yeah. Jimping too, the jimping up here at the top of the knife. Sorry, I got a little lost in my thoughts. But the jimping up here at the top too, it's not overly aggressive. You really don't feel it a whole lot, but it's just enough. It's literally just enough. If it was any less, I would say it might as well not even be there. But you do feel it, and it does work. And if you have soft fingertips, or if you blistered or whatever, and jimping can sometimes agitate your finger, this won't. It's very nice and just enough to be functional. So I like that a lot. And now the handles and ergos of this knife, I will say, for everything they have going on here, I find it to be a very clean design overall. I'd go as far as to call this a casual gentleman's carry, in my opinion. I know it's a Wharncliffe, I know it's a bigger blade, but to me, it's nice. I don't know if I'd wear it with a suit and slacks, but if you're going to a get together or something and you want to bring a neat, unique looking, attractive knife that doesn't look too threatening, I think this is a really nice one. I really like this one a lot. The ergos are so good. The pocket clip, I've never felt a pocket clip so much, but have no problem with it because it's very flat. There's a lot of chamfering right here, as you can see. They took off any sharp points or hard lines, and it just feels really good, and it looks really good. All these lines flow together on this knife. They all do. There's none that abruptly end or look out of place. A really, really stunning design, and usually I don't... Knives kind of like this. I'm usually not a huge fan of so many lines. It almost looks kind of, I don't know, techno-y maybe is the word. I don't know. I make up my own words sometimes. You guys probably already know that. But it's just very nice, casual, unique, attractive, but not threatening. It's a lot to take in, but it is, and they nailed it. And I just really, I carried this knife around a lot because I didn't want to tell you guys just how much I really like this knife. I didn't want to sound like I was a victim of the moment, but I do. Talking about it right now, I really get pulled into the overall design and lines of this knife. Not sure I like the satin flats on the back spacer though. You can see just the top flats here. It's, they're kind of shiny. They're shinier than even this part here. And I know that sounds weird, but they are. It's you kind of have like satin lines going this way, and just on the sides here they're a little blasted, or there you go. That's a good visual of it. So I wish the top back here would have just been like the rest of the knife. I think that would have another one of the very few things that I would probably change on this knife. I think that would I think it would look a little better. At the same time, it does kind of go decently well with the top spine of the blade, so it's kind of a toss-up, I guess. It's really just coming down to personal preference, and I don't know, this is my channel, so that's my personal preference. But either way, it still looks great. And the action on this knife is different. Different is the best word to use to describe it, because you can tell when you flip it out. You can tell, and you can see it in here, hopefully. Yeah, that detent ball. I don't have a flashlight by me, darn it. Oh, wait. Here we go. I have another phone here real quick. Let's see. I'm going to turn this flashlight on because you guys need to see. Look at how big that detent ball is. It's considerably bigger than other knives and a lot of other knives. I think it's probably the biggest detent ball I've ever had on a folding knife, and it is absolutely, I don't want to say it's great. It's just different. When you go to flip this knife out, it's like you feel the size difference in the detent ball, and it makes for very pleasing action. I don't think you can ever. That's probably about as fast as the blade will ever fire out. Yeah, there you go. So this knife also, too, with the detent ball, with everything it's got going on, another reason why I really wish there was jimping up here was because sometimes your finger can slip off that. Now, obviously I've carried this around enough, I'm not going to slip. I'm pressing hard enough, and it comes out just fine. But I personally think this knife is much better when you just push. It feels better, and the recoil, I guess, from shooting the blade out, it feels kind of like a muffled thwack, more like a thwick. Instead of a thwack, it's a thwick. But it feels good, and I think it sounds good. I've heard other people say the sound isn't like the best on it. It's not bad, but it's just kind of whatever. I like it. It's almost like me trying to snap my fingers, because whenever I try and snap my fingers, I can never get like a good crisp snap. I get something kind of a little more flat, and you feel it, you hear it. I like it. I really like it a lot. And the action is just great, and it's actually been breaking in more and more as I carry it. It shakes shut very easily, and it just feels good. It just feels good. If there would have been just a little jimping on that flipper tab, we'd have one of my favorite knives ever. This is still, I don't know. I'm going to carry it around more before I make that call. But I really, really like it. I haven't enjoyed a true flipper because you can't front flip this, you can't thumb flick it, you can't really do anything other than, I mean, of course, you can always pinch pull, you can do that with just about any knife, but I haven't had a true flipper like this that I have enjoyed this much in a long time, in a very long time. So that's probably why I'm going a little overboard on my thoughts with this, but I just really like it. Overall thoughts, you've pretty much heard them. I think this is easily one of the 3 best Wii knives ever made, and I think it is my favorite Wii. I think if I had to pick one Wii that's ever been made by Wii, I think I would go with this. One knife that I never got to actually experience was the Wii Zeta. It was an Elijah Isham design from probably 2 or 3 years ago, but that's probably the only one. I would like to compare that to this and see what my thoughts are on those two. But man, I really like this knife. I really, really like it. Gonna be carrying this one a lot. Big fan of it. What do you guys think? What are your favorite Wiis? If you had to pick 3 Wiis for your collection, what would they be? I want to know. I'm interested in it. But that's all I got for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. Until the next one, I'm out.